20 things only those who grew up in the 1970s remember. Take a trip back to the groovy 70s, a decade bursting with unforgettable fashion, iconic toys, and legendary TV shows. From lava lamps to Saturday morning cartoons, the 1970s shaped a generation like no other. Get ready to discover 20 things that only those who lived through the 1970s will truly remember. Atari Pong. Before gaming consoles became a staple in every home, there was Pong the game that kicked off the video game revolution. Released in the early 1970s, Pong was as simple as it gets. Two players controlled paddle-like lines to bounce a square ball back and forth, mimicking table tennis. At the time, it was nothing short of revolutionary. The thrill of controlling that little dot across the screen was a brand new experience that captured the imagination of millions. Today, it might seem basic, but back then, it felt like cutting-edge technology. Pong was the spark that ignited the gaming world. Bell-bottom jeans. Bell-bottom jeans weren't just a fashion choice, they were a bold statement. With legs that hugged the knee and flared out dramatically toward the bottom, they became the defining look of the 1970s. Everywhere you looked, people were rocking bell-bottoms, often paired with platform shoes, colorful tie-dye shirts, or fringed vests. These jeans weren't just about style. They were about expressing individuality and rebelling against the norm. By the end of the decade, bell-bottoms had become so iconic that just a glimpse of them in an old photo can instantly transport you back to the 1970s, evoking everything from free-spirited youth to the rock and roll era. The Easy Bake Oven. In the 1970s, there was no feeling quite like being able to bake your own little cakes and cookies with the Easy Bake Oven. It was every kid's dream come true, and the best part was that it used a simple household light bulb to cook your treats. You'd tear open packets of cake mix, stir them up, and slide the tiny pan into the oven. Then you'd sit back and wait, watching as the light bulb did all the cooking. The results weren't always gourmet. Sometimes the flavors were interesting, but that didn't matter. The real magic was in the process itself and the pride of saying, "I made this," every time you took that first bite. Scooby Snacks. Scooby Snacks became an iconic part of 1970s childhood, inspired by the popular cartoon Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? These treats, often shaped like graham crackers, captured the imagination of kids everywhere who loved the idea of munching on snacks just like Scooby and Shaggy. They quickly became a quirky trend, and some adventurous kids even tried real dog biscuits just to see what all the fuss was about. Feathered hair. Feathered hair was the look everyone wanted to rock. Whether you were heading to school, work, or hanging out with friends, that soft, swooping wave that flipped out perfectly was the ultimate style goal. Getting it, though, was another story. Hours with a blow dryer, a round brush, and more hairspray than you could ever count. And it wasn't just for the girls. Guys joined the feathered hair movement too, wearing longer styles with subtle feathering that became a major trend. The 1970s were all about a breezy, effortless vibe, and Farrah Fawcett's iconic hair became the symbol of it all. Tube tops. Tube tops were a defining fashion trend of the 1970s, embodying the free-spirited, bold attitude of the era. These strapless, stretchy tops were perfect for hot summer days, offering a breezy, laid-back style. With their bright colors and funky patterns, tube tops were often paired with high-waisted shorts or bell-bottoms for the ultimate retro look. Wearing one definitely required confidence, but they became a symbol of the decade's carefree, vibrant vibe, capturing the essence of 1970s fashion. The Electric Company. Before cable television filled homes with endless educational programming, the Electric Company was the go-to show for teaching kids important skills. Aimed at children slightly older than those watching Sesame Street, this PBS classic brought catchy songs, hilarious skits, and believe it or not, a young Morgan Freeman onto the screen. The show made learning to read and understand grammar fun, blending humor and creativity into every episode. It wasn't just educational, it was cool. With its unmistakable 1970s vibe, the Electric Company turned reading into an exciting adventure, beloved by kids and parents alike. CB radios. Before cell phones or the internet existed, CB, Citizens Band, radios were the ultimate way to chat, especially while traveling. Thanks to movies like Smokey and the Bandit, CB radios exploded in popularity during the 1970s. Everyone had their own nickname or handle, and phrases like 10 to 4, good buddy, and breaker breaker became part of everyday language. Kids loved pretending to be truckers. Families tuned in just to see who they could reach, and the airwaves were full of friendly chatter. It wasn't just communication, it was community. For a while, the CB radio was truly the heart of the road trip experience. The Fisher-Price Chatter Telephone. The Fisher-Price Chatter Telephone was a classic toy that introduced an entire generation of toddlers to the idea of talking on the phone. With its friendly, smiling face, spinning rotary dial, and wheels that let you pull it along, this toy was everywhere in the 1970s. Even though it couldn't actually make calls, kids loved pretending to chat on it, feeling like they were having important conversations just like the grown-ups. Decades later, the Chatter Telephone's cheerful, timeless design remains one of Fisher-Price's most cherished creations, reminding us of simpler days when a single toy could spark hours of imaginative play. Lite-Brite. Lite-Brite was pure magic for kids in the 1970s. You take a black sheet of paper, place it over the Lite-Brite screen, and push colorful plastic pegs through the holes, watching as your creation lit up in a dazzling glow. Whether you followed a pre-made pattern or designed something completely original, it always felt like you were crafting a tiny masterpiece. The glowing lights were mesmerizing, and time would fly as you worked on your picture. Sure, stepping on those tiny pegs barefoot was unforgettable in the worst way, but it never stopped anyone from playing for hours. Lite-Brite was the perfect blend of creativity and light, making it one of the most memorable toys of the 1970s. Metal lunchboxes. In the 1970s, carrying a metal lunchbox to school was more than just a way to hold your lunch, it was a chance to show off who you were. Whether it was decorated with Star Wars characters, the $6 Million Man, superheroes, cartoons, or your favorite band, these sturdy metal boxes let you proudly display your personality. Inside, a matching thermos kept your drink at just the right temperature. There was something special about walking into the cafeteria with a design you loved. It made you feel unstoppable. While metal lunchboxes have mostly been replaced by softer, more practical styles today, they remain highly prized by collectors, reminding us of a time when lunch felt a little more personal. The Overhead Projector. In the 1970s, the Overhead Projector was the undisputed star of the classroom. Teachers would write or draw on clear plastic sheets, and the projector would cast those images onto a screen or the chalkboard, making every lesson feel larger, clearer, and more vivid. From math problems to geography maps to science diagrams, the glowing projections brought schoolwork to life and held students' attention. But the real thrill came when the teacher invited you to step up and use the projector yourself. Writing or drawing on the transparency felt like having a moment in the spotlight, a tiny burst of fame that made learning more interactive, exciting, and unforgettable. Disco balls. No 1970s party was truly complete without a disco ball spinning overhead. As it slowly rotated, it scattered shimmering light across the room, transforming any space into a vibrant mini dance club. Whether you were busting moves to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack or simply enjoying the colorful reflections bouncing off the walls, the disco ball became the centerpiece of the era's nightlife. It was more than just a decoration, it was a symbol of the fun-loving, carefree spirit that defined the 1970s, making every dance floor feel alive with excitement and energy. The smell of fresh Ditto copy. In the 1970s, before photocopiers became mainstream, teachers relied on Ditto machines to make classroom copies. The freshly printed sheets, coated in vivid purple ink, carried a distinct chemical smell that, strangely enough, kids couldn't resist. Even though we definitely weren't supposed to inhale it, the scent became oddly comforting. When a fresh stack of Dittos hit your desk, it usually meant something fun was coming: a quiz, a coloring page, or a new assignment. That unmistakable smell became one of those quirky, unforgettable parts of school life that anyone who grew up in the 1970s remembers with a nostalgic smile. Waterbeds. In the 1970s, owning a waterbed was more than just a way to sleep. It was a lifestyle choice, a bold declaration of cool. Instead of springs or foam, these beds were filled with water, creating a floating sensation unlike anything people had experienced before. They were trendy, futuristic, and undeniably groovy. Of course, they had their drawbacks: extremely heavy, difficult to move, and prone to leaks that could turn a bedroom into a disaster zone. But despite the risks, Waterbeds became an icon of 1970s bedroom style, often paired with lava lamps, shag carpeting, and all things funky. Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday mornings in the 1970s were a sacred time for kids thanks to the golden age of cartoons. The routine was simple. Wake up early, pour yourself a bowl of sugary cereal, and settle in front of the TV for hours of animated fun. Shows like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, The Jetsons, and Super Friends dominated the lineup, offering a mix of mystery, futuristic fun, and superhero action. It wasn't just TV time, it was an event, a ritual that made Saturday mornings feel like magic. Parents knew better than to interrupt. This was kids' time to escape into their favorite animated worlds. Milk and glass bottles. In the 1970s, milk in glass bottles was a defining part of daily life. Delivered straight to your doorstep by the milkman or served at school, these glass bottles came with a paper or foil cap and were often reused, adding a bit of old-fashioned charm to the experience. The satisfying clink of the bottles as they were handled became a familiar sound, especially at school, where kids would sip from small glass bottles during lunch. At home, the milkman's truck was a regular fixture, making its rounds and bringing fresh milk right to your door. Earth shoes. In the 1970s, Earth shoes were the must-have footwear that promised to revolutionize the way you walked. With their distinct negative heel design, where the heel was lower than the toe, they were marketed as being better for posture and offering health benefits. The look was undeniably funky, but it caught on, turning these shoes into a fashion statement. While they're not commonly seen in stores today, those who wore them recall their unique charm and the occasional backache that came with walking in them. Earth shoes might not have stood the test of time, but their quirky appeal remains a memorable part of 70s fashion. Big wheels. Big wheels were the epitome of 1970s childhood fun. These low-to-the-ground tricycles with oversized front wheels were the perfect ride for kids, offering speed, thrills, and the occasional dramatic spin thanks to the handbrake. Racing down sidewalks or driveways, kids felt like race car drivers, zooming through their own miniature circuits. The bright plastic design and the iconic big wheel logo became symbols of carefree childhood freedom. For many, the sight of a big wheel instantly evokes memories of summer days, scraped knees, and the joy of outdoor adventure. Beanbag chairs. Beanbag chairs were the ultimate symbol of 1970s laid-back comfort. These oversized, squishy sacks of fabric provided the perfect spot to lounge, watch TV, or dive into a good book. Available in vibrant, psychedelic colors, they fit right into the era's bold and funky decor, though they sometimes leaked their signature tiny beads that only added to their charm. Whether in a living room or bedroom, a beanbag chair was a must-have for creating a cozy, casual vibe that embodied the easygoing spirit of the 70s. 8-track tapes. 8-track tapes. Midway through as the tape changed tracks, but that didn't stop 8 tracks from being the go-to music format of the 1970s. Their bulky design and occasional track skips were just part of the experience. From road trips to lazy afternoons, 8-track tapes brought music into homes and cars across the country, with iconic albums from artists like Fleetwood Mac and Elton John providing the soundtrack of the decade. Despite their flaws, they remain a nostalgic symbol of 70s music culture. What's one thing from the 70s that you think could never be replaced in today's world? Polaroid cameras. Polaroid cameras brought an entirely new level of instant gratification to photography in the 1970s. Unlike traditional cameras that required waiting for film to be developed, Polaroids let you snap a picture and watch the image appear before your eyes within moments. These bulky, boxy cameras were often seen at family gatherings, vacations, or casual hangouts, capturing the spirit of the era. The distinctive glossy prints and the excitement of seeing a photo develop in your hands made Polaroid cameras a true 70s icon, evoking nostalgia for a simpler time of instant memories. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Was the ultimate blend of mystery and humor, making it a Saturday morning staple for 70s kids. The gang Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and their talking dog Scooby-Doo traveled in the iconic Mystery Machine, solving spooky mysteries along the way. With each episode, they unmasked villains in creative disguises, all while Scooby and Shaggy shared hilarious moments. The show's quirky charm, catchy theme song, and unforgettable catchphrases like "Roo-Row Raggy" left an enduring mark on pop culture, making it a cherished part of childhood nostalgia. Vinyl records. Vinyl records were the soundtrack of the 1970s, offering a tactile, immersive experience that modern formats can't replicate. Browsing record stores for new releases, carefully handling albums, and lowering the needle onto the spinning record became cherished rituals. The warm, rich sound of vinyl, combined with the unmistakable crackle at the start, made every listen feel special. Album covers were works of art, often larger than life, showcasing the personalities of bands like Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin, and ABBA. Vinyl wasn't just about the music, it was about the entire experience. Spirograph. With its set of plastic gears and colorful pens, kids could craft mesmerizing geometric patterns that seemed almost magical. The process of carefully placing the gears and watching intricate spirals form was both artistic and relaxing. Hours were spent experimenting with different designs, making it a favorite among young aspiring artists. The Spirograph became a symbol of the 1970s creativity, turning simple lines into intricate works of art that could be proudly displayed. The Partridge Family. The Partridge Family became an iconic symbol of 1970s pop culture, blending family dynamics with catchy tunes. The family, led by Shirley Jones and her 5 children, traveled in their signature patchwork-painted bus, performing songs that stuck in your head for days, most notably, "I Think I Love You." The show catapulted David Cassidy to heartthrob status, and the whole cast's wholesome yet quirky charm made it a beloved classic. The combination of music, family fun, and colorful style made the Partridge Family a defining part of the decade's entertainment. Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels became a defining show of the 1970s, showcasing strong, stylish women who balanced their crime-fighting skills with glamour and grace. The trio Farrah Fawcett, Jaclyn Smith, and Kate Jackson tackled mysteries with precision, all while setting fashion trends with their signature looks. Farrah's iconic feathered hair and the Angels' daring action scenes captured the imagination of viewers, inspiring both young girls and boys to embrace adventure and confidence. The show blended intrigue, action, and style, making it a cultural phenomenon that embodied the spirit of girl power long before it became a mainstream concept. Film strips. Film strips were a quintessential classroom experience in the 1970s, offering a visual and auditory learning method that felt cutting edge at the time. Teachers would carefully set up the projector, dim the lights, and let students watch as still images advanced with a familiar beep after each frame. Narrators would guide the story, making topics like science, history, or even hygiene come to life for students. It was a fun break from the usual routine, and the anticipation of the next beep added a sense of excitement to the lesson. Though today's tech is far more advanced, film strips remain a nostalgic symbol of educational innovation from the past. The Muppet Show. The Muppet Show was a beloved TV staple of the 1970s, blending humor, music, and zany characters in a way that captured the hearts of all ages. Kermit the Frog, with his calm demeanor, tried to keep order among the chaos, while Miss Piggy's diva antics and Fozzie Bear's corny jokes kept the laughs rolling. Statler and Waldorf's constant heckling from the balcony became iconic, as did the outrageous musical numbers like Ma Na Ma Na. Each episode was a delightful blend of sketch, comedy, and celebrity guest appearances, making it a unique show that brought families together for a fun-filled evening of entertainment. Clocks with flip numbers. Flip clocks became a stylish symbol of the 1970s, blending function with a futuristic aesthetic. Instead of traditional clock hands, they featured mechanical flaps that would flip over to reveal the changing time. The satisfying click as the numbers shifted made it feel almost like a mini event every minute. With their clean, modern design, flip clocks perfectly matched the era's minimalistic and sleek decor trends, becoming an iconic part of many homes and hotel rooms. The rhythmic motion of the numbers flipping was as much a sensory experience as it was a practical one. Rock'em Sock 'Em Robots. Rock'em Sock 'Em Robots were the ultimate test of speed and precision in the 1970s. With one red robot and one blue, kids would take turns controlling their fighter punches, aiming to knock the other robot's head off its shoulders. The sound of the head springing up with each successful blow was a victory cry, and the intense matchups became a highlight of game nights. Despite its simple design, the fast-paced action and competitive thrill made Rock'em Sock'em Robots a beloved toy that still brings back nostalgic memories of childhood fun. Lava lamps. Lava lamps were the iconic centerpiece of the 1970s decor, adding a mesmerizing, psychedelic touch to any room. The slow, undulating motion of colorful wax blobs floating in liquid created an almost hypnotic effect, making them a perfect addition to the groovy aesthetic of the time. Often found in bedrooms or living rooms, these lamps were more than just lighting. They were a statement of cool, laid-back vibes. The soft glow and swirling wax made them a timeless symbol of the era's free-spirited and funky atmosphere. Macramé. Macramé was the quintessential 1970s craft, adding a bohemian touch to every home. From hanging plant holders to elaborate wall tapestries, this intricate knotting technique became a must-have in living rooms and bedrooms. The earthy tones and textured patterns meshed perfectly with shag carpets and natural wood furniture. DIY macrame kits made it accessible for everyone, and soon it was impossible to walk into a home without spotting a handmade wall hanging or a plant dangling from a beautifully knotted rope. Macrame was more than just decor, it was a lifestyle statement. If you grew up in the 1970s, you remember. Reliving the simple joys of summer freedom. Ah, the sweet memories of summers past. Remember when there wasn't all the fuss of graduations for every grade? It was simpler then. School ended when that final bell rang, and bam, summer had officially begun. But let's be honest, the true feeling of freedom didn't really sink in until that Monday morning rolled around, and you realized there was no school waiting for you. If your folks both worked, you were the king or queen of your own castle for the entire day. And even if your mom stayed home, she probably still sent you out the door to explore. Moms back then didn't want you glued to the couch. They wanted you out there making memories. Now, it was in your best interest to always have a plan for your day, because if you dared to utter the words, "I'm bored," your mom would magically come up with a chore list longer than your arm. Trust me, you did not want to go down that road. Those were the days of endless possibilities and the pure, unadulterated joy of summer freedom in the 1970s. Dinner and more adventures. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the neighborhood, a familiar call would echo through the streets. Dinner time! We'd reluctantly abandon our games and adventures, our stomachs rumbling in anticipation. If we were lucky, Dad would be in a grilling mood, his trusty charcoal grill sending plumes of savory smoke into the air as he relaxed with a can of Miller Lite in hand. And who knows, maybe he'd even share a sip with us, don't tell Mom. But the day's adventures weren't over just yet. As darkness enveloped the neighborhood, we'd gather once again, a band of intrepid explorers ready for a new set of challenges. The night was our playground, the darkness our ally. We'd tiptoe through the darkness, our hearts pounding in our chests, trying our best to stay hidden, to avoid being caught, to become the victor in these nocturnal games of stealth and strategy. Those summer nights were a magical time, a blend of excitement and camaraderie. We were united by the thrill of the chase, the shared secrets whispered in the dark, and the laughter that echoed through the night. As we finally retreated to our homes, our bodies tired but our spirits exhilarated, we knew that these were the memories that would shape our childhoods, the stories we'd tell for years to come, a testament to the simple joys of summer nights and the enduring power of friendship in the 1970s. Saturday morning cartoons. Let's rewind the clock and journey back to a simpler time, a time when Saturday mornings were synonymous with one thing: cartoons. In the 1970s, Saturday morning cartoons weren't just entertainment. They were a cultural phenomenon, a cherished ritual that shaped our childhoods and defined our weekend routines. Picture this. You wake up early, the sun barely peeking over the horizon, your heart filled with anticipation. You grab a bowl of your favorite sugary cereal, maybe it's Captain Crunch, Lucky Charms, or Frankenberry, and race to the living room, plopping down in front of the TV just as the familiar theme songs begin to play. The screen explodes with a kaleidoscope of colors and animation, transporting you to the worlds of Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Incorporated. Gang, the Justice League and Super Friends, the wacky antics of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Looney Tunes, the heartwarming stories of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, or the futuristic escapades of the Jetsons. These shows weren't just entertaining, they were educational, teaching us valuable lessons about friendship, teamwork, problem-solving, and even social issues. And when Monday rolled around, we'd gather on the playground or in the school hallways, excitedly discussing our favorite moments from the weekend's cartoons, comparing notes on who had the coolest superhero or the funnest cartoon character. Popular TV shows. The 1970s were a golden age for television, a time when families gathered around the tube to be entertained, informed, and sometimes even challenged by the shows they watched. Three shows in particular, Happy Days, The Brady Bunch, and Charlie's Angels, not only captured the hearts of viewers, but also left an indelible mark on 1970s culture. Let's start with Happy Days, a show that was already steeped in nostalgia when it premiered. Set in the idyllic 1950s and early 60s, it offered a comforting escape from the tumultuous present, reminding us of simpler times filled with sock hops, diners, and leather jackets. The Fonz, with his cool demeanor and effortless charm, became a cultural icon, his signature thumbs-up gesture and catchphrases like "A" entering the lexicon of everyday language. Happy Days was so successful that it spawned several spin-offs, including the equally beloved Laverne and Shirley, further cementing its place in television history. Then there was The Brady Bunch, a show that presented an idealized version of the blended family. With its catchy theme song, relatable family dynamics, and memorable catchphrases like "Marcia, Marcia, Marcia," it became a comforting presence in living rooms across America. The show's iconic 3x 3-grid opening credit sequence remains instantly recognizable even today. These shows offered a mix of escapism and social commentary, providing both entertainment and a window into the evolving values of the decade. The emergence of video games. The 1970s were a pivotal decade not just for culture and society, but also for the burgeoning world of video games. It was a time when the gaming industry transitioned from the dimly lit arcades to the comfort of our living rooms, forever changing the way we play and interact with technology. One of the key milestones of this era was the release of Pong in 1972, a deceptively simple game of simulated table tennis that captivated the world and became the first commercially successful video game. Pong's popularity paved the way for the home console revolution, led by the Atari 2600 inches 1977. This groundbreaking console brought arcade-style gaming into our homes, sparking a frenzy of excitement and innovation. It was during this time that major gaming companies like Atari and Activision were formed, laying the foundation for the multi-billion-dollar industry we know today. The 1970s also gave us some of the most iconic and influential video games of all time. Space Invaders, with its relentless alien hordes and pixelated graphics, became a global phenomenon. Asteroids, with its vector-based graphics and challenging gameplay, tested our reflexes and strategic thinking. And Adventure, a groundbreaking game for the Atari 2600, introduced us to the concept of open-world exploration and puzzle solving. But the 1970s weren't just about groundbreaking technology. They were also about the social aspect of gaming. Arcades became social hubs where friends would gather to compete for high scores and bragging rights. And with the advent of home consoles, gaming became a shared experience, with families and friends crowding around the TV to take turns navigating digital worlds and conquering virtual challenges. Bikes. Once you rounded up your crew, the next step was transportation. And no, we weren't calling Ubers or waiting for mom to drive us around. Our trusty steeds, our bicycles, were always at the ready, usually leaning against the garage wall or, if we'd had a particularly adventurous day, still sprawled out in the yard from our last escapade. These days, kids might consider their smartphones, gaming consoles, or, unfortunately, even medication as their most prized possessions. But for us 1970s kids, nothing was more vital than our bikes. They were our passport to freedom, our chariots of exploration. We could zip over to a friend's house, discover hidden corners of our neighborhood, or embark on epic adventures, all without relying on our parents for a lift. With those sky-high handlebars and banana seats, our bikes could take us as far as our little legs could pedal. Sure, the Schwinn Stingray was the ultimate status symbol, the king of banana seat bikes, but for those of us whose parents weren't exactly rolling in dough, a trusty Huffy from Kmart or a Free Spirit from Sears did the job just fine. And believe me, those Huffies and Free Spirits saw some serious mileage over the course of a long, glorious 1970s summer. They were our faithful companions, taking us on countless journeys and helping us create memories that would last a lifetime. Did I miss any of your favorite 1970s memories? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, check out more videos in the series. Don't forget to subscribe and share We Are Baby Boomers with your friends who grew up in the 1970s. Thanks for watching and stay groovy.